At Riverdale Public Hospital. Excuse me, McWay. Philip Clark was carrying an unconscious little girl as he rushed into the hospital, yelling madly, "Doctor! Doctor! Quick! Save my little girl!" The nurses and doctor who had rushed out quickly took the child from Philip's arms and entered the emergency room. "Oh, you can't go in." A nurse in an azure-colored uniform with a face mask stopped Philip from entering into the emergency room. Just then, the rapid sounds of high heels clicking against the ceramic tiles could be heard from the back, squeezing his heart with every click. "Philip Clark!" roared a woman's voice. Slap! A crisp slap came in firm contact with Philip's cheek. Before him stood Wynne Johnston with an enraged expression as tears pooled in her beautiful eyes. "If anything happens to my daughter, I will never forgive you." Her tone was cold and laced with full fury. This scene frightened quite a few patients and their family members in the hospital. Philip hung his head low in shame without attempting any explanation. "HMPH, Wynne snorted coldly. The dissatisfaction and contempt in her eyes were visible. Philip stood aside with his head down in silence like a kid who was caught misbehaving. He stole a few glances at the woman standing a few meters away from him, the woman he used to call his wife, the woman with whom he had already signed the divorce papers could officially be separated from him at any time. Wynne Johnston was gorgeous. Her features were defined, her figure tall and slim. She was well-mannered and educated, once the prettiest girl in their university. She had unexpectedly fallen in love with Philip, abruptly gotten married, and given birth to his daughter, Mila Clark. However, life after marriage was not as ideal. Philip's career did not go well, and his business ended up failing. His daughter even had congenital heart disease, which drained all of their savings, and now he had to make a living by doing food delivery services. On the other hand, Wynne was a deputy general manager of the marketing department in a public-listed company. One of her parents was a section chief, the other a retired teacher. It was safe to say that Philip did not have much status in the Johnson family, and for the past 2 years he was almost non-existent. And because of Philip, Wynne had fallen out with her family that her parents were not willing to provide them any support. Both the elders had told them solemnly that they would assist in their granddaughter's treatment funds only if Philip and Wynne divorced. After the divorce, the child would belong to the Johnson family. This matter had dragged on for a year. The emergency room's door was pushed open, and Philip saw his daughter being pushed out. He wanted to rush over, but Wynne had already gotten there first. He stopped in his tracks and watched his adorable little girl from afar. Little Mila was wearing a respirator, but her big eyes were bright like obsidian gems. She reached out with her tiny pale hand and mumbled. Papa Philip went over to hold his daughter's cold hand while gently brushing away the wisps of hair from her forehead, smiling as he said, "Papa's here. Mama, please don't fight with Papa. It's Mila's fault. I wanted Papa to take me to the amusement park." Little Mila, who was only 3 years old, was speaking feebly for her father. Wynne smiled and answered, "Okay, Mama will listen to you and not argue with Papa. Philip Clark, pay the hospitalization fee." A cold voice interrupted Philip's conversation with his daughter.